We're in the lounge, and we've got a new mic. Hopefully it's not echoey today. Try to handle the audio issues for you on a day where the 49ers offense struggled a bit. They were a little disjointed. Brock Purdy threw an interception. It was a deep pass to, well, it was intended for Deebo Samuel, but it ended up going to Jair Brown, who made one of the nicest interceptions of camp. There have been 3 of them so far over the course of these first 3 practices. We saw Malik Mustafa with a pick. We saw Darrell Luter Jr. with a pick, and now we have seen another safety. We've seen Jair Brown with an interception on the Brock Purdy deep pass. 49ers were missing a lot of players today, especially along the offensive line. So when you ask, well, why did the 49ers offense seem a bit disjointed? Why did they struggle to find a rhythm? I think that if you look at it on a play-by-play basis and then you look at things overall, the answer is the same. The 49ers did not really have good protection today, and it's just about time for the pads to come on. Here's one thing about these practices. When pads aren't on, the offensive linemen are at a severe disadvantage. And we know that the 49ers offensive line, even with pads on, would probably be at a disadvantage against the team's defensive line just because of the talent discrepancy between both of those units. The offensive line, especially outside of Trent Williams, who's currently holding out, is one of the weaker position groups on this 49ers team. In theory, at least, the defensive line should be one of the strongest. Well, today, there was no Trent Williams, no Nick Bosa. It seemed like a scheduled day off for Nick Bosa. We can confirm that tomorrow. I'm assuming he'll be back tomorrow. But without Williams, without Bosa, without Jake Brendel, who was watching on the sideline, guessing it was a maintenance day as well, without Spencer Burford, who I saw in the parking lot, it didn't look like he was hurt, but he obviously missed today's practice, and without John Feliciano, the offensive line was using quite a few reserves, and they were going up against a defensive line that was starting Leonard Floyd on one side and Yetur Gross-Matos, who's one of the 49ers' other free agent pickups, on the other. And on the interception play in particular, Floyd and Gross-Matos were able to get around Jalen Moore, who's backing up Trent Williams, and Colton McKivitz, who's the starting right tackle, with ease. They collapsed the pocket on Brock Purdy with ease. He had to hurry his throw downfield. It was intended for Deebo Samuel. It airmailed Deebo Samuel, and Jair Brown made the nice interception. A little bit later, you had something similar happen when both edges were able to get around both 49ers tackles, and Brock Purdy overshot Ronnie Bell downfield. I did mention in the instant reaction, you could be sure that you go and check that out. I did mention in that instant reaction that Brock Purdy rebounded and he hit Deebo Samuel on an intermediate crosser. That's been Purdy's bread and butter. That was right after the Bell miss, and the offense finished up on a higher note today. But with all these players missing, and I mentioned Williams, Ayuk, Bosa, Christian McCaffrey, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, Charvarius Ward, with all those guys out, it was a chance for the reserves to get a little bit more run during the training camp practice today, and it just definitely was not the same caliber of practice that we'd seen over the course of the first couple days. Tomorrow is going to be day 4. Then the 49ers take a break on Sunday, and they're going to be back out here for block 2 beginning on Monday. The pads will probably not come on until Monday, although given how easy the 49ers went today on some of the veterans, it wouldn't shock me if they did a trial run with the pads tomorrow so that they could double it up with the day off on Sunday. So we'll see how they want to do that, but in the past, they had always done pads starting in block 2. However, in the past, they had also not gone 4 practices on, 1 practice off. They'd have gone 3 practices on, 1 practice off. So they're doing 4 on, 1 off to begin this training camp. And then it'll be 3 on, 1 off after that. I think the NFL's got to back together again Saturday tomorrow. So I think the NFL probably wanted the 49ers to hold practice, so they will hold practice, and it's going to be Sunday that is off instead of Saturday. But I'm about to pour out a lot of information from practice today on you. I just read about the Brock Purdy 2 deep passes today that were incomplete, but he did hit the intermediate one. I saw Leonard Floyd and Yetur Gross-Matos winning a whole heck of a lot. And that brings me to the reconstructed 49ers defensive line. These guys did not perform up to standard last season. So guess what? They brought in 6 new defensive linemen. I got my laptop in front of me. I can't put the depth chart up on the screen because we're connected via phone. We're remote today. But when I look at the defensive line position group, and you could pop this open if you have it bookmarked on your computer on the 49ers 90-man depth chart, we got a whole lot of color-coded players in there because the teal or turquoise color meant that it was a new free agent signing, and it's dominated that defensive line room by 5 new free agent signings. And green obviously meant a new rookie signing. But between Floyd, Gross Matos, Malik Collins, Jordan Elliott, and Shaquille Brown, that's 5 new veteran 49ers defensive linemen who have taken the torch after that unit really struggled last season. You got Evan Anderson, who out of Florida Atlantic, he's a rookie. He's a defensive tackle, one of those nose tackle types. He's wearing the number 66. He's also been getting good playing time. But even when Bosa is not out there, the 49ers have more edge rushing depth than they did last season. I think that's already been very apparent throughout the first 3 practices of this training camp. Now, I can't wait for the pads to come on to see the offensive line be able to defend itself, but the start of all of this has seen the defensive line overwhelming the offensive line very clearly with no Trent Williams. You saw, I was talking about it yesterday. You saw Jalen Moore on the left side for the 49ers just overrun by Nick Bosa, overrun by Leonard Floyd. Today, you saw both Moore and McKivitz struggle. So these guys need the pads to come on, so they're, I think, a little more in a better position to defend themselves against bull rushes. And then more than anything, you need Trent Williams out there because this 49ers offensive line is a bad unit in pass protection without him. I think it's substandard with Trent Williams based on the performance last season, but there were down years across the front for various reasons. I know Aaron Banks was struggling with an injury. I think Jake Brendel might have been struggling with an injury too. Colton McKivitz was in his first year starting. It was Trent Williams who was the anchor of that line on the left side. If they can see, obviously, get Williams back, but see upticks in the performance from the other 4 positions, which I think is really possible with that right guard position, possibly going to Dominic Pooney at some point this year, then this 49ers offensive line could be passable in front of a quarterback like Brock Purdy, who's obviously able to perform even when things aren't great in front of him. But without Trent Williams, it's really hard to see this unit delivering passable pass protection, which is why he's got so much leverage as he continues to hold out. Anyway, we saw several different offensive line combinations for the 49ers today. One surprising thing is that they put Nick Zakelj in as the first string center. They didn't put Ben Barch, even though Barch was dressed in uniform on the sideline. It wasn't Barch who was taking over the first string center jobs with Jake Brendel, John Feliciano both out. It was Nick Zakelj who was playing there in the middle of the formation. So this is a guy that was Brock Purdy's roommate, drafted in the 6th round in that 2022 draft, has looked rough over his first couple seasons, but it hasn't had much of a chance to deliver at all, and an injury cut things short for Nick Zakelj last year. He had the torn biceps muscle. He's known as a very cerebral player. He's a guy that the 49ers earmarked as a potential center when he first showed up at the team facility a couple years ago, but they knew that he had been raw at every single stage. He started playing high school football late, and then he showed up to college, and it took him a while to round into form. But once he did round into form, he showed himself to be a draftable player. The 49ers drafted him, and they realized it probably would take some time to get him ready to deliver at the NFL level. Well, now Zakelj gets his opportunity with 2 centers out of practice today. And, that center position is extremely important. And when the line looks disjointed, a lot of that often does go back to the center position, which is setting some of those protections. So we had Zakelj in the middle to start things. Banks was playing left guard, where he usually is. Jalen Moore was the first string left tackle. On the right side of the offensive line, the 49ers had Colton McKivitz at that right guard position and Dominic Pooney, the rookie, getting his first team action at right guard. I actually thought that most of the pressure, as I just mentioned, came against the 49ers off the tackle. So Dominic Pooney, based on what I saw from the sideline today, I obviously have not been able to see the tape, but I don't think that Dominic Pooney was giving up all too much pressure. And this is a guy that's was drafted, known for his pass protection ability over his run blocking ability. Pooney at Kansas didn't give up a single sack over the course of 2 years of D1 football. So that's why I think that this is a guy that could potentially raise the ceiling of the 49ers pass protection. The second team offensive line also had Nick Zakelj in at that center position. Then Jarrett Kingston, the 6th round draft pick, a rookie, he was playing left guard. They had Sebastian Gutierrez playing at the right guard position, and then Chris Hubbard, the 33-year-old veteran, was playing right tackle, with Brandon Parker, another veteran the 49ers signed this offseason, playing left tackle. So Parker and Hubbard are in a battle to be the 49ers swing tackle. Chris Kocurek talked about Hubbard today, who played for Tennessee last season. He was teammates with former 49er Daniel Brunskill. Daniel Brunskill is actually the person who recommended Hubbard to the 49ers. He's told Kyle Shanahan, he told Chris Foerster that he thinks that Hubbard has the ability to do the very specific things the 49ers ask of their offensive linemen. Then the third team offensive line had the rookie Drake Nugent at center. Bryson Mays, who's was a center at Southern Miss, but obviously there's not enough center reps to go around. Bryson Mays was playing left guard for that third team. You had Dominic Pooney get more right guard reps for the third team, and Jarrett Kingston, interestingly enough, guard in college, but played some tackle before that at Washington State. Jarrett Kingston was playing right tackle for the 49ers third team, along with Sebastian Gutierrez over on the left side. So that was the 49ers offensive line, first team through third team. And the reason that I go through that in such detail is because we saw Pooney play with the first team because of the opportunity of the veteran sitting, and we also saw the 49ers give him some extra reps with the third team. Now, one thing people were talking about their other draft pick from this year, Jarrett Kingston, being a guard for sure. Well, he's playing tackle right now for the second and today the third team. Why is that? Well, I think it's because Dominic Pooney is considered to be the player with a higher chance to play early than Jarrett Kingston. And the position that Dominic Pooney would likely play would be right guard. So they're making sure that Pooney gets as many right guard reps as he possibly can, so he's ready to go for the 49ers at that position. The overarching lesson from everything that I'm saying right now, though, is that the 49ers offensive line was missing a lot of guys today. And I think that was very, very tied to the offense struggling the way that it did. Purdy had been extremely crisp over the practices on Wednesday and Thursday. He's thrown the ball hard this year. I think the velo is up for Brock Purdy. He's looking in command, and I think he still was in command today, but he just didn't have the opportunity to deliver accurately downfield with edge rushers collapsing on him on a regular basis. So the 49ers absolutely do need Trent Williams and this offensive line to be a little bit more healthy and available. And I know that we don't have a specific injury that we're listing some of these absences to. It could have just been a day off, but they can't afford too many offensive line injuries, which is not a good sign for their offensive line depth. And we'll see how Chris Hubbard and we'll see how Brandon Parker end up panning out for the 49ers this year. These are guys who have had injury histories, especially over the past couple seasons, so there's always a red flag in that regard. But they do need that stalwart on the left side to protect Brock Purdy, and that's why we talk so much about these Trent Williams contract negotiations that are currently happening between the 49ers and big number 71's representation. So today, aside from the fact that we got to see the depth perform a little bit more for the 49ers, I thought that special teams was really interesting to track. We saw kickoff drills for the very first time since OTAs. Remember that the kickoff rules are going to be new for the 49ers and for the entire NFL this entire year. It's going to be much more of an offensive type of play than it will be a special teams play that had essentially gone dead over the course of the past several seasons. So to me, when I look at where the 49ers can pick up a lot of efficiency pick up a lot of slack that might have been left on the table over the past few years. It is on the kickoff game and with kick returns. They have not ranked well in either of those two categories over the past few seasons. While the rules are completely changing, they might be changing in the 49ers' favor. Kick coverage, well, that's going to be up to Brian Schneider, their special teams coordinator, and all the 49ers special teams players to make sure that they're handling that correctly. And they're going to have to probably tackle a few surprises with the new rules, since they're moving to XFL-style rules with a kickoff and kickoff coverage more resembling a normal play from the line of scrimmage. But on the return side, I think that the 49ers have a chance to really do something special. And by that, I mean maybe Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey are going to be the returners, because there's less risk of injury now. There's no big running start for these kickoff coverage guys and for these kickoff return guys. And if that's the case, if things are a whole lot more like they are at the line of scrimmage, why not use Deebo Samuel? Why not use Christian McCaffrey? Why not put the ball in the hands of your best athletes and your best ball carriers? And I think the 49ers might try that. We didn't see them really practicing many returns today. We saw them work on some of the directional kicking that Jake Moody is going to try to employ. It's going to be fascinating to see different NFL teams approach this rules change with, I'm assuming, differing strategies around the league. People are going to be trying to figure this out as they go. Speaking of special teams, Jake Moody's been really, really damn good so far this year. He's booted field goals of over 50 yards multiple times at this point. He made his first 10, and this was after he missed a few at this point of last season as a rookie during camp. Today, Moody's first miss came. He missed wide left from 46, but then he moved back 5 yards right after that and nailed one from 51 yards. So Moody so far is 11 of 12 during training camp. Big picture, he's looking good. I think the cornerbacks are looking really good. We talked about the defensive backs yesterday. There's been some good play from them. Brock Purdy has looked excellent so far here in training camp today. It was tough with the offensive line short-handed and struggling in front of him, obviously without pads. And, we could evaluate the offensive line in much more fair detail moving forward once the pads do come on. And I think that now that Bosa's had his day off, now that the pads might be coming on soon, either tomorrow or after the off day on Sunday, it's going to be time to buckle up and play some real football, and I think that's going to be very exciting. Awesome video with Brock Purdy and San Francisco Fire Department number 13, station number 13. I have that up on the channel, so why don't you go ahead and check that out. I'm going back through my notes right now, and I opened up a page from last year, and I used to have Taco Charlton in the notes. No, Taco Charlton is no longer with the 49ers. That was a little short-lived tenure for Taco Charlton. Instead, we can flip the page to what else might have happened today. Darrell Luter Jr. with a nice run stop. I've talked about Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen not looking great so far. I do think that backup quarterback is a question mark, a point of question for the 49ers. Tariq Owens, Terrell Owens' son, made his first catch of training camp today. He's been struggling a little bit, even during warm-ups with some drop issues. I know that Tariq Owens is a raw talent. I mean, he started as a college basketball player, picked up the football a little bit later. So he's probably you have to give him a little bit more leeway when you're evaluating how he's doing. He's definitely a really good athlete, was working out with his dad over the course of this offseason. But during team drills today, Josh Dobbs found Tariq Owens, and he made a nice catch as he was sliding to the ground, how to make an adjustment on the ball over the intermediate part of the field. Brandon Allen also tried a deep throw today, and he missed deep to Malik Turner. That's who the 49ers signed yesterday to take up Trent Williams' roster spot, while Williams is on the do not report list. Talked about Luter. The forced fumble from Warner against Elijah Mitchell was a nice play. And Shaquille Brown, who is the 49ers defensive tackle that tried out for them this offseason and was so impressive and so strong during that tryout that they just decided to sign him. He had a nice bat down of a Josh Dobbs attempt today. So we heard from Shaquille Brown for the first time in these practices. I've got some more news for you right now. You're only going to hear this here. The 49ers are actually working out a quarterback today. The quarterback is somebody who played locally in college. That is former San Jose State quarterback Josh Love is in the building working out for the 49ers today. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're looking to sign a quarterback at this very moment, but when guys that they're interested in are available, they like to bring them in because you never know when you're going to need somebody on speed dial. But Josh Love, he was a gamer over at San Jose State. He's had a chance to play professionally in some lower leagues since then. He's working out for the 49ers this afternoon. Question about the 49ers' current fourth quarterback from Leon Sandcastle, Tanner Mordecai. No, he did not have a chance to play in team drills today. They're running a battle for the QB2 spot right now. That battle is between Josh Dobbs on one side, and it's Brandon Allen on the other side. Those guys are getting the second and third team reps, and they're alternating behind Brock Purdy. That's much more important than getting Tanner Mordecai reps at this point. Mordecai doing work in the film room, and he's probably going to get some cleanup action during one of the preseason games. He's going to have to take advantage of his limited opportunity in the same way that Brock Purdy took advantage of his limited opportunity in 2022. But right now, the quarterback 2 battle takes priority for the 49ers. But Josh Love, working out for San Francisco, the San Jose State product in the building. This is why you should subscribe to the channel, because you get news here that you will not get anywhere else. All right, I'm gonna hit the freeway, head home before this Friday afternoon traffic gets bad. Hopefully you like the audio, hopefully you like the background. A lot of footballs here at Levi's Stadium. Stay tuned, we're gonna have another big show coming up tonight. Everybody take care.